The topic of tonight's call, we're going to talk about spouses. And I think that's something that's really important to talk about because the coaches that are successful in this business are ones that have a team working together. So that's why Tiffany and I wanted to talk about this and bring up this topic. So first off, what I want to say is just if you have any specific questions or anything that you wanted to ask me or talk about, go ahead and just type them up and share in here, and then we can talk about it after I share what I wanted to talk about. So what brought this up was Tiffany and I over the weekend had the chance to speak at a retreat. There's a coach by the name of Summer Tucker. You guys may or may not have heard of her, but she's a big, 15-star coach, Millionaire Club.
Okay.
She, in the Millionaire Club, she's, an awesome coach. And she had a retreat, and she had Tiffany and I speak at it. And this was one of the topics of discussion was how do you get a supportive spouse and how do you work together as a team to grow your business? So that's kind of what brought this up. But and I know it can be hard because there are a lot of coaches that don't have a spouse or somebody that they can kind of lean on and work together with. So I understand it can be hard, but that's why we wanted to share this. So first off, there's obviously a difference between men and women, right? Women love being part of challenge groups. They love having that, kind of camaraderie, the check-in every day to groups and all that kind of stuff. They love that. Men aren't into that at all. They don't want anyone telling them what to do, right? They don't want to have somebody, where they have to report to every day. They kind of just want to do their own thing. So, they don't really care about challenge groups. They don't want that accountability. They're not going to sit down and watch a webinar. They don't want to be a part of that. And that's just the way it is. I mean, there are some guys that will, but for the most part, that's just the way it is. And men from, way back in the Stone Age, men have always been the providers. And that's just kind of what is innately inside of men, is just that desire, that drive, whatever that's what they feel like they have to do. They have to provide for their family. And so that's what they want to do. And so many coaches, female coaches, that's their goal is I want to have this awesome team, and I want to bring home my spouse, and I want to, I want to retire my husband and all this. But you know what? Sometimes the men don't want that. They don't want to be retired. That's if you saying that you want to be, have this big business and bring them home, that's in a way taking away their manhood. That's taking away their responsibility to provide for their family. So men, they need to feel like they're valued. They need to feel like they have their purpose, and you building this big business is a wonderful thing, but don't take that away from your husband. So I think the key there is just to honor your husband and let them know that they are valued. Make sure that they understand that they are a valued part of your business, and work with them, find out what it is that they really want. And help them to understand that what you want is for them to have freedom, for them to have the freedom to do what they want, rather than feeling pressured to maybe stay in a job that they don't like, or, have all that pressure and stuff. You want to give them that freedom, not take something away from them. And I know a lot of this kind of sounds dumb, like, guys are like little puppy dogs and stuff, but really you kind of have to treat them that way. And that's okay. Men, they need to have their cup filled. You need to Summer always talks about this, how men need to have their, you need to honor them. You need to fill their cup. You need to give them what they need, and then they'll be more likely to give you what you need. And I think one of the biggest things that I see is what spouses, what husbands get tired of, or what pushes them away from the business is the distraction, right? Men want to have that attention. They want to have you focused on them. And if you're on your phone all the time, you're on your computer all the time, you sit down for dinner or something, and you're texting on your phone, or after if you've got kids are in bed and you're on your phone, that's taking all the attention away from the husband, and the husband wants that. They want to have your attention. So if you have set business hours or set times where you're going to work, and I know Tiffany talked about this last time, or she's talked about it in the past, but having set office hours and set times where you're working, that way when your husband walks in the door, and you can say, "It's great to see you," all that kind of stuff that the husband wants to hear, and he can come in and you can have your attention focused on him and the kids, then he's going to be a lot more likely to give you that time, or want to give you that time to work on your business. So, if you sit down for dinner, and you're focused and you're engaged and you're attentive to your husband, then, you're filling that cup, and you're helping to meet that need of his to be involved in you and your life, and feel like he's not losing out on your attention. And one of the things that it was Simon Sinek, I think, talked about this at the last summit, but he talked about our phones and how phones are so much of an addiction for us. And he says, there we go, there's a husband. He talked about phones and how phones are so much of a distraction for us. And we see how, you sit down at the dinner table and you put your phone next to you with with the screen up. And if the screen is up and it lights up, what you're telling your spouse or friend or whoever it is that you're, sitting down to dinner with is, you are important to me unless that phone lights up. That phone is a little bit more important than you are, because as soon as that phone lights up, my attention goes there. So that phone is the attention grabber, and as soon as that phone lights up, my attention's going there. And so what a lot of people will do is they'll turn the phone over, right? So you're sitting at dinner, the phone's still sitting on the table, but it's turned over. And so as soon as conversation gets low, or something, the spouse or friend or whoever it is gets up to go to the bathroom, you're right there back on your phone. And you have to have that phone with you all the time, and it's like your drug. You can't go without it. And that is so much applies to your husbands. Your husbands don't want to have that distraction. They want to have you there engaged with them during your office hours. That's all you focus on. You're building your business, build it, do whatever you can during that time, but that's your time to work. When you're outside of those office hours, spend that time focused on your family. And you'll notice that not only will your relationship get better, you'll be happier, your kids will be happier to have you more present. And you know what, when you're on your work hours, you're going to be a lot more focused and get your work done during that time. So the other thing that I wanted to say is, when you're talking about your business, it's not your business, it's our business, right? So you build a business together as a family and as a couple. So this is our business. And so when you're talking about that, asking your husband questions, engaging him, this is our business. It's not my business and you're helping me build my business. This is our business. The next thing was being consistent. And I think this is a big thing for husbands to see, that if they know that you're going to be there consistent day after day during your work hours and working, they know that you're serious about it. And that was something that Tiffany was, and still is, but was very good at from the beginning, was that she was very consistent with her work times. I knew when she was going to be working, and she was there day after day after day, and she didn't miss. And I knew that was something that was very important to her, and that she was going to be there working. And so I was a lot more likely to be supportive and help her and want to help her grow it, because I knew it was something that was very important to her. If they know that, hey, I'm going to be on this for the long haul, like this isn't a thing where I'm going to be here for a week and then I'm going to take a few days off, and then maybe I'll check back in another time and then take a few days off. If that's very inconsistent like that, then they'll not really catch on and just think it's more of a distraction than an actual business that you're building. So be serious about it, be intentional about your time, and be there day after day. As you build your business, and as you do personal development, which I'm a huge proponent of, but as you do your personal development, you're going to change and you're going to grow, and you're going to become happier. You're going to become a better leader. You're going to become more like a better communicator. You're going to, you're just going to change. You're going to become a better person, and your husband's going to see that. The challenge comes, and I've talked to several other coaches and heard big coaches talk about this, but as they grow and their personal development allows them to become a different and a better person, their husband could do one of two things. He can see where you're going, and he'll want to catch up and join you, or he'll see you change and feel like you're leaving him behind as he's stuck down here. So as you're doing your personal development, as you're changing, as you're growing, make sure that you're involving your husband and you're bringing him along with you, so that you're both on the same page and you're both growing and changing at the same time. So, one of the things that we talk about with personal development is the gems, right? You guys have probably heard about that. You've heard us talk about that, but the gems. So understanding what your husband's gem is, understanding his love language, whatever you want to call it, but understanding what it is that your husband needs, and speak to that. Allow him to know that you understand who he is, what he needs, and help him to feel edified, uplifted, and strengthened in that relationship. And he's going to be a lot more willing to support you in your goals. One of the things that I wanted to talk about real quick is what Jim Rohn talks about is a good presentation. And I think this applies to not just with you and your spouse and gaining his support, but also in your business. When you're giving any type of presentation, whether it's to potential coaches, challengers, whatever, in person, online, these are the steps to a good presentation. Okay, so I want you to write these down. The first one is identification. If you can get the person that you're presenting to say, "Me too," then you're on the right track. If you get them saying, "So what?" then that means that you're off on the wrong track. So there's a difference between a presentation and persuasion. So if you put out a good, nice, pretty presentation, that's going to lead them to say, "So what?" Right? I mean, so what? That's a nice presentation. So what? But if you're doing a persuasion, you're getting them to say, "Hey, me too. I identify with that. I have something in common with you. You seem real to me. I want to be like you." When you do that, you're helping these people understand that you identify with them, that you're real, and they want to follow you. one thing that Jim Rohn talks about is learning to express and not impress. If you're trying to impress somebody, you're putting on this flowery presentation, and it's going to lead to a bunch of so whats. Okay? But if you can learn to express, you can get them to say, "Me too. I see where you're coming from," and they're going to want to follow you. And one of the things that's funny about that is it makes me think. I was listening to this book on tape, and she's talking about empathy and people that live a wholehearted life. People that live a wholehearted life, they're happy. They have wholehearted. I mean, that's the way it comes out. It's just a wholehearted life. Is they are people that are empathetic, and one of the things that shows empathy is when somebody can say, "Yeah, me too. I've been there before. I see where you're coming from. Me too. I get it." So when you're talking to your spouse, when you're talking to a potential challenger, coach, whatever, learn how to say that. Learn how to identify with them and say, "Me too." Okay. And that's what shows empathy, right? And the funny thing about that is people that are empathetic, they are they're more vulnerable. They're more willing to share. Okay, they're more willing to relate to other people. And you know what? Those are awesome coaches. Those are great coaches to have. If you can find people like that, that's great. And you know how you find people like that is you exude that yourself. Okay? And you attract what you are and what you present out there. So the more you can present that, the more people just like that are going to come towards you. Okay, so the first thing in the presentation is identification. The next one is logic and reason. And this should be probably the briefest part of your presentation, right? When you go to buy a car, for instance, the salesman is probably only going to spend a short amount of time telling you about, the horsepower, the cylinders, whatever. They're going to be very brief with that. They're going to cover the logical part very shortly and then move on to the emotion part, right? People will buy and you don't want to be a part of you. They're going to follow you based off of emotion, not off of logic and reason. So in the logic and reason, you want to cover the facts, but only enough so that it makes sense. You be brief and then you move on to the next. So don't overload with that, but that's part of the presentation. You've got to give the facts. So when you're talking with your spouse about the business, you know what? Be short with the facts. Tell them some things about it. Tell them what you're doing. Income, whatever. What's it's going to cost. Be very short, and then move on to the emotional part. So the third one is attack and confess. So that's the third part of a good presentation. Attack means to handle objections, basically. So people have objections, whether, one objection is excuses, right? People can blame the weather. They can blame the economy. They can blame, family or education or income or whatever. They can blame lots of things. So when you're giving a good presentation, you're going to attack the problem and not the person. If the excuse is the problem, the person is not. So you're talking to your husband, your spouse, whoever it is. Talk to and handle the objection, the excuse, whatever it is, but not the person. The next objection that people have is procrastination. Okay, they're going to do it another time. They're you can do that, but we'll do that another time. Even the most skillful coach out there needs somebody to coach them. Okay, everybody needs a little bit of help. So don't be afraid to say, this is the here and now. This is where we need to do it, not tomorrow. The next part is substituting money for value. Okay. A lot of people will say, well, it costs too much. I can't, being a coach, you got to pay what is it, $15.95 every month. Buying a challenge pack is too much. It costs too much. We can't do it. So make sure that they understand where the value is and why that it's worth it. Why is this business worth it? Why is it important for you as a coach to continue to do this? Why does your spouse need to support you? They need to understand where the value is and not just the cost of it. And then the last one on there is confess. So you need to be able to identify with people, let them know that you've been there before, that you understand. And this is kind of the same as empathizing with them. But, if they come to you with a problem or something, let them know, yeah, I get it. I've been there before. If you're working with another coach of yours who has an unsupportive spouse and you've overcome that, tell them, I get it. I get where you're coming from. I've been there before. And don't be afraid to show how that affected you. Show the regret, show the pain, the failure that you went through and what you learned from it. Let's see. Okay. So the last part of a good presentation is the solution. You're gonna present the problem, right? People understand what the problem is, but you got to make sure that you're giving the solution. That's got to be the last part of the presentation. You're finishing off with the solution. If you can paint the results for them, paint the picture of the future. Let them know what the future is going to be like. Paint that picture for them. Put that in their mind about what it's going to be like. It'll get their self-confidence going, and they'll see that kind of tangible results for what's going to be in the future, and it's going to happen. It's going to follow. Okay, so that's how you give a good presentation. And I think that so much applies to you. You're presenting to anyone, to your spouse. You want them to be supportive. It helps a lot with also going for potential challengers and coaches and stuff. If you already do have a supportive spouse or a somewhat supportive spouse, make sure that you continue to let them know that this is our business. And, it's not just a one-time, you let them know that, but continue to let them know that that it's our business. Involve them in the decision making. Make them feel like they're valued. Edify them, and even have them. If you're doing a team call with some of your coaches, have them poke their head in and say hi. Maybe your coaches need to see another male in there so that they can show their husband, hey, you know what? Her coach is, her husband's on the call, and he'll see that. And just guys don't want to be the only guy in the room. They don't want to, be there with a bunch of women. They want to understand that there are other guys in this business. So make sure that they know that. They see another male face on some calls every once in a while. And I think that goes a long way. And the last thing I just wanted to say was, if your husband may not be super supportive, but he's willing to do the dishes, do some laundry, help out, watch some kids, do stuff like that around the house to allow you to run your business. Make sure that he understands that he is helping. He is taking on some of that provider role, right? That the men need to feel like they're providing. And I think that goes a long way to help build them up and help them feel like they're of value. So that was kind of my keys for gaining a supportive spouse. So I just wanted to kind of open it up for some questions, just so you guys can ask if you have specific questions about a coach on your team, you specifically, if there's anything about a spouse or getting them to support you, then please ask. And Jesse, I'm reading your note. That is something that Summer says all the time. Make sure to have sex with your husband, because he'll love that and appreciate that. And I think that was her key to having her husband stick around, because I think they had some challenges, with their marriage and stuff like that, and getting him to support. And that was her key, was just continue to have sex with him and he'll be totally happy.
Your wife told me to say that and screenshot your face when you read it.
Yeah, no, I don't have any problem talking about that.
Maybe you'll get lucky tonight.
No, she's leaving for Cabo in the morning, so she's going to be stressed out, and that means nothing's happening. So I'm not even thinking about it. So, does anybody have any questions? Anything they want to ask about a particular coach that they have, or anything like that about gaining a spouse's support?
I'll ask a question because I get it a lot.
Yeah.
So it may help somebody else on the line. Okay, so as a mentor, some of my girls, their spouses don't support them, so they feel like it's a holdup as far as Emerald is concerned, just because, a lot of coaches have their husband as an Emerald. So what would you say about that?
About whether they should sign up their husband or not?
Yeah, and the fact that it's okay to not have your husband also.
Yeah. I think I didn't sign up, or Tiffany didn't sign me up until after she had some coaches already. So it's not, life or death. It's not going to kill their business if they don't sign up their spouse first thing. I mean, obviously it's best, because then their husband's at the top of their organization and they benefit from all that volume, but it's not life or death. So I would say, make sure that you're involving your spouse. And if they're not super supportive of it, then be patient and just keep showing up, and, let them know about the value of it and why it's going to be beneficial, but work together as a team and make sure that they feel part of that team. And it's not you telling them what they need to be doing or anything like that, because guys, if you tell them what to do, they'll go the other way. Right. Does that help? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So, all right. Does anybody have any other questions? No? But like I said at the beginning, I think having a supportive spouse is huge for building your business. If we've been around this for several years now. We've been to a lot of events. We've gotten to know a lot of great coaches, and all of them have one thing in common, and that's that they have a spouse there to work with. And so that's why we feel like it's so important, not necessary, but so important and beneficial to you to have that support, that you guys can work together as a team, that you can build this together, and that it's nice to have somebody there where you can bounce ideas off of. But the key is just make sure that you're being consistent with it. Make sure that you're edifying your husband, your spouse, and that they're not feeling left out and neglected because you've got this business here that you're trying to run. I think that's probably the biggest thing that we see is, the spouse feels like they're left behind. You're off chasing, the business and stuff like that. But in the secret to that is not to give up the business so that you can have your supportive spouse. It's to build it together, so that it's something that you're doing together as a team. So, all right. Okay, so Jesse, confidence in front of your spouse goes a long way. Yep, exactly. So if you're self-conscious about it, if you're unsure, it's showing that weakness, right? So your husband wants to see how awesome you're doing and how wonderful it is and how much you love doing it. Show that passion. Let them know that you love what you're doing. It's something that you're going to be doing for a long time. And, I would say that if you have a good husband, they're probably going to support you if they know that it's something that you love doing and that they see you growing. Excuse me. If they see you growing and changing and it's for the better and it's helping your family, it's helping your relationship. You're putting your phone down and you're spending that quality time with them, they'll be all for it. Okay. So if you've got coaches, you've ever had that problem, make sure that they understand those points, and you'll be good. Okay. All right. Well, if nobody has any other questions, we'll just finish up the call right there. Okay. It's good chatting with everybody. Have a good week. Okay. Bye.